started. Sorry. Okay, when I start recording, you will get the message. You can see here. Now you must have seen the message. Okay, so if I forget, you will know that if you did not see the message that I'm recording, that means I forgot to press the record button. Okay, so just remind me. Okay, so I was trying to go towards the board here. Okay, so I think you can see the board here, right? Yeah. Okay, so what I was saying was that the traffic assignment will give you the intersection counts, basically intersection turning movements count. For example, this is your zone. Okay, this is a zone for which you are doing the analysis, and this is the zone where the traffic is going. Okay, so it is coming from here to here. Okay, and this is another zone here. Okay, so there is another trip distribution here. Okay, so you know from this zone to this zone the quickest route is this highway. Okay, and from this zone to this one the quickest route is this highway. Okay, so between these two highways, let me make it in a way that it has an intersection. Okay, so this is the quickest route for this zone. Okay, so you know how much traffic is coming from 1 to 3, let's say, and you could know how much traffic is going from 1 to 2. Okay, and this is the intersection. Okay, so people who are going from 1 to 3, from this intersection they will go straight, right? And from people who are going from 1 to 2, from this intersection they will take a left turn. Okay, so your traffic assignment will give you the intersection movements. Okay, this is what we are saying here. The traffic assignment will give you the intersection movements. Okay, so then you can see the background impacts. Okay, because of that, then you can see the background impacts. Background impacts means now using the background traffic. What is the level of service? Okay, what will be the level of service at key locations? Obviously, like I mentioned, you have the main highways. Okay, the main intersections. So for those main intersections and main highways, you find out the what you call the you will find out the level of service. Okay, you will do the operational analysis, but using just the background traffic. Okay, at this point we have not included anything else. Okay, this is just the background traffic. Okay, so then the next step is to see the impacts of your development. Okay, so now you have the background traffic, you have calculated background volume on different locations, and using those and traffic assignment, you found out how many drivers will be going towards each zone, and then you find out the level of service without your facility. Now you will see the impact of your facility. Now you will redo the analysis, okay, for future year with background plus the traffic of your site. Okay, background traffic plus the traffic of your site. Okay, so then you will compare the impacts to step 7. Okay, so whatever level of service you calculated in step 8, you will compare it to step 7. Okay, so you will see whether the level of service has changed or not. Okay, ninth step is optional. Okay, you may need to do it, it is not mandatory. Okay, which is related to traffic assignment. Okay, and we will discuss in detail why we need to do it. Okay, but just to give you an idea, your development site may have made certain intersections or certain highway jammed. Because of the traffic of your facility, certain highways which were not having traffic jam may start to have traffic jam and congestion. Okay, similarly, certain intersections which were going smoothly with less delay, they may start to face more delay. Okay, so we have discussed bottlenecks, the concept of bottlenecks in traffic engineering. These are the points where the traffic is above capacity, right? So your site may have given extra traffic which would have made certain highways as bottlenecks. Okay, in that case, what happens? Okay, if you are coming towards a site, if you are coming towards a road section which you know will be jam packed, what do? You change your route, right? So in that case, your traffic assignment will change. Okay, so now I may no longer go from zone 1 to zone 3 using the highway which I was using right now, because now that highway is already congested. I may go for another highway. So this will change your traffic assignment, right? So you may have to re-examine the traffic assignment. Okay, you find that, okay, because of my facility, certain sites or certain intersections and highways will have level of service F, will have traffic jam. So you need to reduce the traffic from those sites, and you will reassign them to other routes. Okay, and you have to use some well documented and justifiable assumptions. How are you assigning the trips to other highways and other intersections? Okay, so one of the justification will be the level of service. Okay, because the level of service has become so poor, it has gone F. So obviously people will not like to travel from this highway, they will go from some other highway. And this is one of the justification. The other justification can be asked from the travelers and so on and so forth. Okay, it will depend upon your area. So obviously the sites which are facing lot of congestion, they will the trips from these sites, from these highways and intersections, will need to be assigned to other routes, and then you will repeat the process of step 8 again. Okay, so after these trips move away from the bottlenecks, move away from the congested areas, what will be the level of service after then? Okay, so in step 9, which is an optional step, you may have to do it if you are facing extreme congestion on some sites when you calculate the level of service in step 8. Okay, then after you complete all this, okay, you may still have highways and networks which are facing a worse level of service compared to the background traffic. Okay, even after the reassignment of trips, there are still, because you are increasing traffic, right? You are increasing traffic, your site is increasing traffic, your development is increasing traffic. So obviously there will be some effect on the road network. So the level of service may change. Then you have to propose a series of mitigation strategies. Okay, how we can maintain the level of service even with the addition of the site, even with the addition of the development, the traffic of the development, how we can still maintain the level of service. And as I told you, this is a responsibility of the developer. He will hire someone to do this whole analysis and provide the mitigation strategies. Okay, and he will also need to show the level of service with the mitigation strategies. Okay, so level of service right now is, let's say, C. After the proposed development, it will go to E. So I will do this to make it back to C again. Okay, and you need to show with calculations. Okay, so if I do this, traffic will be reduced by this much, and the level of service will improve, and so on. Okay. So this is what I was saying. This is the whole job of the developer, the person who is developing the site. Now, what are the typical mitigation strategies? These are typical mitigation strategies, okay, which the developer may choose for his own, location. These mitigation strategies may include adding lanes, okay, on the signalized intersections, okay, because if you have exclusive lanes, then the flow is usually much faster and higher. Okay, so if you are facing more delay on the intersections because of extra traffic, then you may provide extra lanes for turning, and it may improve the flow rate, okay, through the intersections. If it is not an intersection, just a road, then you may go for widening of the road, okay, from 2 to 5 lane with 2 lane, Now 5 lane, again, something which we discussed in the traffic engineering course. We have a 2-way left turn lane. Okay, so you give an extra lane in the middle for turning left from both sides. Okay, so this is 2-way left turn lane. Or you may go for, a 4-lane cross section, so you may change from 2 lane to 4 lane. Okay, so widening of the road, we know, right? Increasing the number of lanes on the road. Okay, this is just that. installing or upgrading signals at major intersections. Maybe there was intersection which did not have signal, so you ask them to install a signal there. Okay, and because in extreme traffic conditions, signal provide better flow as compared to roundabouts or stop signs. Signals provide better flow in high traffic, high volume traffic. Okay, high volume of traffic. Or you may ask them to upgrade the signal. The signal is already there, but if you provide the signal with sensors, or you provide the signal with different phasing. Okay, we discuss phasing plans and traffic engineering course, right? So you are saying, okay, the current signal only has 3 phases. Why don't you increase the number of phases? So it will have better flow. Okay, so you may redesign the signal, or the signal is not there. You may ask them to install one. Or there are other strategies which you can apply to intersections and interchanges. Okay, whichever are coming in your network. Then some of these strategies are you can apply modern roundabouts. Okay, these are known as turbo roundabouts. Okay, and they are considered to be much safer and faster than other roundabouts. Okay, uh, restricted crossing U-turns. Okay, so you restrict that U-turns should not be there. Okay, so you restrict some of the turning movements. Okay, like they have done at the Tubli intersection. Okay, when you're going from Sheikh Salman Highway, you go from under the bridge toward Mercedes showroom. So they have restricted some turnings, right? So you may apply this. The U-turn is restricted, or super streets means the speeds at high speeds. Okay, and why they are at high speeds? Because you have restricted some of the turnings. Okay. You may apply for diverging diamond interchanges. Okay, so it will be a bridge, and it will be a bridge. Okay. You may provide median U-turns. So median U-turn means within the facility you are providing a U-turn. Okay, within the road. Okay, within the road. So for example, this is your road. This intersection is here. Okay, the intersection is here. But instead of making the people take the U-turn from the intersection, you ask them, you provide them opening here before the intersection to take the U-turn. So people who want to take the U-turn can go from here. Okay. So you may provide median U-turns here. Then we have displaced left-hand intersections and quadrant left-hand intersections. So displaced is this one, and quadrant is this one. I found a couple of videos. Okay, and I will try to show you these videos. Okay, so we are learning together. Okay, I heard about these things for the first time, and then I tried to search for them. I found the videos, and I think they are very beneficial. But just to give you an idea, in displaced left turn, okay, in displaced left turn, what will happen? The flow will be, the left turning flow will be like this. Okay, so there's someone who is coming from this side and he wants to take the left turn. So we will not let him go to the intersection. We will divert him to this lane. Okay, so he will come to this lane and he will wait here for the left turning. So by diverting him to this lane, we are making sure the straight flow, this direction and this direction flow, is not stopped for left turning. Okay, these two guys which will be on the main highway, the straight flow on the main highway is not blocked because of left turning. Okay, and the displaced left turn you can see from here. Okay, so we are diverting again. We are diverting someone who wants to take the left turn completely out of the road. We are diverting him completely out of the space of the road, and he will come here. Okay, so he will be in this lane, and then he will go from this lane and wait here, and again he will take the left turn from here. Okay, so displace means now the left turn will not happen at the intersection. It will have, you are taking the left turning guy out of the road, and he will go away from the intersection. Okay, at the edge of the road, and he will wait here till he gets the chance to make the left turn. So in both cases, basically we are trying to make sure that the traffic, the straight traffic on the main highway, is not blocked or is not stopped for making the left turn. Okay, so let me yeah. I think, yes, you may not be able to see it. I need to reshare my screen. Okay, now can you see the video?
Yes, we can.
Okay. But you may not be able to hear it, right? Let me do something about that. Yeah, now you should be able to hear it as well. Okay.
In its commitment to improving safety and mobility, DLT is made up of one main intersection and two left-turn crossovers. DLTs can be designed with left-turn crossovers on only the major street, as shown here, or on both the major street and side street. In advance of the main intersection, left-turn vehicles use the crossovers to cross to the other side of the road, which allows left turns and opposing through movements to move simultaneously through the main intersection. DLTs are designed to accommodate all roadway users, including larger vehicles such as school buses, emergency vehicles, and trucks, as well as pedestrians and cyclists. Let's take a closer look at how a DLT works for motorists when only the major street has the crossovers. On the side street, motorists turn left, continue straight, and turn right, just like at a conventional intersection. From the major street, motorists continue straight and turn right at the main intersection, like at a conventional intersection. To turn left, motorists cross to the opposite side of the street at a signalized crossover and then proceed to the main intersection to complete the left turn. Pedestrians and cyclists can also navigate a DLT. Pedestrians use marked crosswalks to safely cross the intersections. Cyclists have the choice to either navigate the intersections using crosswalks and pedestrian paths.
Okay, so this was the DLT, displaced left turn. Then I will show you the, so they have some more details about pedestrian bicyclists. You can have a look, you can go search the video and have a look. Okay, but I will show you. What happened? I'll show you the quadrant left turn here.
The Virginia Department
Again, this is from
the
Virginia
quadrant
Department of
roadway
Transport.
intersection and two secondary intersections that are linked by a connector road. Left-turn vehicles from all four legs of the main intersection use the secondary intersections and connector road instead of the main intersection to complete left-turn movements. QRs are designed to accommodate all roadway users, including larger vehicles such as school buses, emergency vehicles and trucks, as well as pedestrians and cyclists. Let's take a closer look at how a QR works for motorists. Motorists continue straight just like at a conventional intersection, and depending on their direction of travel, either turn right at the main intersection or use the connector road to complete their movement. Motorists complete left turn movements using the connector road, but the exact path of each left turn movement varies by approach. Some motorists complete left turns without traveling through the main intersection. Other motorists travel straight through the main intersection and use the connector road to complete their desired movements. Pedestrians and cyclists can also navigate a QR. Pedestrians use marked crosswalks to safely cross the intersections. Cyclists have the choice to either navigate.
Okay, so this was the quadrant and the displaced left turn. I think I mixed up the names with the figures. So this one is a displaced left turn, and this one is a quadrant left turn. Okay, it was silly of me because it is already showing a quadrant, an extra quadrant here. So this is a quadrant left turn. Okay, so but in the video it was very clear. So these are some of the mitigation studies. I just singled out these two videos because they look interesting to me. Okay, but obviously there are other measures which they have mentioned here, and you can apply any of them. Okay. Okay, then we have so we have completed the traffic impact analysis. Okay, now I'm going to give you a very small task. Okay, and you don't have to go into any details. Okay, I just need maybe 1 minute from you in the next class when you come on Sunday. Look around you. Okay, don't need to go out and search for these things. Just look around you. Try to find facilities for you think need a traffic impact analysis. Okay, any new maybe facilities which are under construction or facilities which are already operating, but you feel they are having so much impact on the highways that there should be a new traffic impact analysis for them. Okay, so go around, search for facilities according to you which require a traffic impact analysis, because they are having or they will have a major impact on the road network, and why. Okay, why do you think they need a traffic impact analysis? So this is something which you will come up with in the next class. Again, it's not a major task. You tell me the name of the facility and why do you think it needs a traffic impact analysis, and that's it. Okay, now then we move on to so then we are done with the traffic impact analysis, and we will go back to the travel demand forecasting, 4 steps of travel demand forecasting again in this chapter later on. But before that, let us go through some topics which are helpful in doing the travel demand forecasting. So one of the topics is coming from the highway engineering, which is the highway functional classification. It is the grouping of the highways according to their service. Okay, which service or function they are providing. Okay, so the main 2 classifications are rural and urban, rural highways and urban highways. Why do we have these 2 main classifications? Because rural and urban areas have different densities and types of land uses. So there is more commercial land use in urban areas compared to rural areas. Density of population is higher in urban areas, like people living per square kilometer is higher in urban areas compared to rural areas. Density of streets and highway networks is also higher in urban areas, like kilometer of highways per square kilometer of the area. Density of street or highway means kilometers of highways or streets per square kilometer of the area of the network, area of the city. So that is density of street and highway networks. So this is also higher in urban areas. Nature of travel patterns is different. Okay, in rural areas you have less traffic, less pedestrians, maybe no bicyclists. Okay, in urban areas you will find these things more. Okay, peak hours are different in urban and rural areas. Okay, directions, the percentage traffic in different directions is different. Okay, so these are different things which happen and which differentiate between urban and rural areas. Okay, so because of these things, because of these elements, density, land use, density of street and highways, and nature of travel pattern, we differentiate between urban and rural highways. Okay, so the US terminology, and I showed you that this is followed all around the world in the highway course. So again, we have rural and urban roads. In rural roads, we have arterials, collectors, local roads. Again, urban areas, we have arterials, collectors, and local roads. In rural areas, we have 2 types of arterials, principal and minor. Urban areas, again, principal and minor. Okay, principal arterials for rural areas, they can be interstate or other principal arterials. In urban areas, it can be interstate, other freeways, and other principal arterials. Okay, so there is one additional type of arterial in urban areas. Okay, otherwise the remaining things are the same. Then for collectors in rural areas are also of 2 types, major and minor collectors. But in urban areas, collectors do not have any subtypes. Okay, let us quickly go through them. Okay, before we do that, what are the functions of the highway? So there are 2 functions of the highway: mobility and land access. Okay, mobility means the ease of moving on the highway. Okay, it is related to the speed. So mobility increases, the speed increases. Okay, so it is the ease of traveling from the highway, the ease of going from one place to another place. And land access is the ease of accessing the land, the ease of entering different areas from the highway. Okay, so when you increase, you can see it from this figure here as well, when you increase access, the mobility decreases, because if you are providing more entries and exits from the highways, then the speed should reduce. So these are two main functions of the highways. Okay, mobility and access. You can see three ranges here. Okay, they mentioned three ranges here. This one is for local roads, this one is for collector, and this one is for arterials. So arterials have high mobility, least access. Collectors have both in the same manner, and local streets have high access, low mobility. Okay, so collectors, local roads have least speed and more connections, and arterials have vice versa. Okay. Okay, I think I have time to finish this. Okay, again, we are not going in details. Okay, we went through more details in the highway engineering course. So I told you, arterials, high mobility means high speed. So that means the travel should be uninterrupted. Okay, and we know interruptions are what? What do we call as interruptions? I think we discussed that in the traffic engineering course as well. Interruptions means what? When we say uninterrupted, that means
ramps.
Sorry? Ramps are not interruptions. Interruption means what?
Intersection.
Sorry?
Intersection.
Intersections, yeah, mainly intersections. Okay, so on arterials, uninterrupted means that there will be no intersections. Okay, so it should be a long road without intersections. Okay, and obviously for higher speed you need higher design standards. Okay, it will have multiple lanes. Okay, and it will have some degree of access control. Now access control is the opposite of access. Okay, the word access control is the opposite of the word access. So I am controlling access, that means access is low. Okay, don't mix them. Access control means you are controlling the access. Okay, so access is low, mobility is high. Okay, the same thing which we said at the start. So we for arterials we have two main subcategories: principal arterials and minor arterials. Okay, so principal arterials in rural locations, they are continuous routes which are carrying statewide or interstate travel. Okay, so these are very long highways. Principal arterials are very long, which are taking you from one state to another state. If anyone has traveled to Saudi Arabia, so there's a highway which is taking you from Dammam to Riyadh. It is very long. It has made some type of record of something. So that will be a principal arterial, because Dammam is another state of Saudi Arabia and Riyadh is another state of Saudi Arabia. So if you take a highway, then it will be a principal arterial. Okay, so principal arterials are very high, very long. They carry more traffic because obviously you are connecting two states. Okay, and principal arterials for urban areas, they are carrying the traffic to and from major residential and commercial centers. Okay, so within your city you may have a residential area and a commercial area. The highway which connects them will be a principal arterial. Okay, minor arterial, again the arterial in rural area which connects different cities, okay, or larger towns, or maybe traffic generators within the rural area, such as resorts, okay, picnic areas, beaches. Okay, so these will be known as minor arterials. They may have some interstate and intercounty travel as well, but less than principal arterial. The interstate travel on minor arterial less than the principal arterial. Okay, and that the length of the highway, the length of the trips on the highway, and the densities on the highway is again lower than principal arterial. For minor arterial, it is less than principal arterial. In urban areas, minor arterials, they serve the traffic need between traffic attractors and generators. Normally, generators are the residential areas and attractors are the commercial areas. So we are saying the same thing, but these are at lower level. Okay, so minor arterials are serving the same purpose as principal arterial, but the traffic on them is lower. Okay, in all respects, it is lower than the principal arterials. Then we have collector. Collectors have lower degree of mobility, okay, and higher degree of access than arterials. Okay, so they are designed for lower speeds and shorter distances. Okay, because to maintain mobility, you need higher speed and long distances. So these are typically two-lane routes. Collectors are normally two-lane routes, and their job is to take the traffic from arterial and they distribute it into different areas. So if you are traveling on an arterial, you want to enter an area, you will go through a collector to enter that area. Okay. So we have major collector and minor collector. That was for rural areas. Okay. So they in rural areas, major collectors provide service to larger towns. Okay. That they are which are not connected by arterial. Okay. So there are towns. All towns and cities cannot be connected by arterials. So some of them will be connected by collectors. Okay. And if you have any traffic generator within the town, okay, like schools, shipping points, parks, okay, any industrial agricultural area, they will also be connected by collectors. Okay. And as I said, collectors will take the traffic from these areas and they will connect it to where? They will connect it to the arterial. Okay, this is their main job. Okay, so they take the traffic from these areas which I mentioned and they take it to the arterials. Okay. In urban areas, they connect neighborhoods. Okay, different neighborhoods like different subsections of the area. Okay, and they may provide access to local businesses. Okay, smaller businesses, smaller shops and restaurants and so on. Okay, not big commercial complexes, but the individual shops you have in your area or something. Then we have minor collectors. Minor collectors in rural areas. Minor collector is the classification for rural areas, and they are spaced at intervals according to the population. Okay, so with higher population density, you need more minor collectors. With lower population, you need less, and so on. And their job is to again collect traffic from the local roads, and they distribute it towards the urban areas. Okay, through the arterials and so on. Again, same definition as major collectors, but the traffic on minor collectors will be lower as compared to major collectors. Okay, so they are taking traffic from neighborhoods and business districts and providing access to residential and employment centers, which is almost the same as major collectors. Then we have local roads. Okay, anything which is not considered as arterial or collector is a local road, normally in the residential streets, residential areas. Okay. These residential streets can be cul-de-sacs. Cul-de-sacs means the streets which are closed. You enter the street, you go ahead, then you will find a wall. So there is no other end. From this street, you cannot go ahead. So this is cul-de-sac, and loop is the street which is in this fashion. It's like this. Okay, so you go from this street and it will turn back towards something else. Okay, so it's not closed, but there's only one direction you can go from the street. So this is a loop street. Okay, so local roads can be cul-de-sacs or loop streets. Okay, their length is normally less than 1 kilometer. Okay, maybe up to 1 mile you can go. If it is cul-de-sac or loop street, then it is less than 1 kilometer. If it is a normal street from where you go ahead and go into different directions, that may go up to 1.6 kilometers as well. Okay, they do not connect thoroughfares. Thoroughfares means they do not go straight. Thoroughfare means the street in where you can go straight for long distances. So local roads are not for that. Okay, so they do not connect major traffic generators or any area which has more than 100 residential units. Okay, so they are for smaller areas, do not have much traffic and do not connect to facilities which have higher traffic. Okay, they connect to collectors. Local streets connect to collectors. Okay. Then we have residential collectors, which may be connecting a street between local and arterial. Thoroughfare means you can say arterials. Okay, so we can have residential collector system which is connecting the local roads and the arterials. Okay, so in this slide, let me just go through the slide. I know I'm going over time, but give me a few more minutes. So you can see a network here. Okay, in this network you can see different types of roads. Okay, so you can see this one is an arterial. Okay, okay, so this one is an arterial. Okay, then you can see collectors here. Okay, so the RTAs are connected by collectors, and then you can see the whole network of local loads, and you can see these local loads are not connected to the RTAs. Okay, so when you're doing traffic analysis, then you may exclude the local loads from your analysis. It is allowed. Okay, if the traffic on the local loads or the roads which you are excluding is less than 10% of your traffic. So you first of all calculate total traffic, calculate traffic on all the roads. Then for further analysis, you may ignore the local loads or lower function roads, some of the collectors as well, minor collectors as well. You can ignore them if the total traffic by ignore them will be less than 10% of the actual traffic. Okay, so you are allowed to ignore the roads in your planning analysis if the traffic on those roads which you are ignoring is less than 10% of the total traffic. Okay, so this is why the highway classification is important, because you may not be considering all types of highways. Okay, I'm going for the attendance. I would request you to raise your hands instead of messaging me, and be attentive. I don't have to go back. Okay, Ali Akil, Ali Salah, Iman Kamil. Ali Akil, Ali Salah, Iman Kamil. Ali Salah and Ali Akil, okay. Asma Khalil, Zahra Sayyed, Nujuz Salah. Asma Khalil, Zahra Sayyed, Nujuz Salah. Asma is here and Zahra is here, okay. Zahra. Dana Nasir, Nadine Hussam, Noor Yusuf. Dana Nasir, Nadine Hussam, Noor Yusuf. Dana and Nadine is here, okay. Dana Isa, Reem Abdul Hamid, Zainab Muhammad. Dana Isa, Reem Abdul Hamid, Zainab Muhammad. Reem and Zainab and Noor is here, okay. Reem and Zainab and Noor, okay. Asil Adnan, Nadir Abdul Munim, Latifa Ahmad. Asil Adnan, Nadir Abdul Munim, Latifa Ahmad. Salma Jafar, Qasim Tahir, Badr Ghassan. Salma Jafar, Qasim Tahir, Badr Ghassan. Salma and Badr, okay. Muhammad Akbar, Ahmad Amin, Ibrahim Muhammad. Muhammad Akbar, Ahmad Amin. Sorry, Ibrahim is here, okay, fine. Akbar is here, Qasim is here, okay. Okay, done. Okay, thank you. See you guys on Sunday, and just keep in mind that you will be coming with Iman. I will mark you.
Sorry, doctor, it's me, Iman.
Yeah, I will mark you.
This moment I was.
Yeah, fine. So just remember that you will come up with something related to traffic impact analysis. Okay, just keep that in mind when you come on Sunday. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.